everyone. Parshas, Rav Neuberger, Rav Cohn, Rav Moshe Tzvi. It's a tremendous chus for me to be able to share a few words of Torah with the Beth Abraham community on this Erev Shabbos, Parshas Chayei, as we await the Chag HaSemicha in just a few short days on Sunday, Mirza Hashem. In this week's Parsha, in Parshas Chayei, we learn about and we read about two seemingly disparate, separate events in the life of Avram Avinu. At the beginning of our Parsha, the Torah records how Avram Avinu goes to Hebron to find a burial spot for his beloved wife Sarah, who unfortunately had passed away. And then, as the Parsha continues, as the Torah progresses, the Torah records how Avram Avinu then goes to his servant Eliezer and instructs him to find a wife for his son Yitzchak. What is the connection, what is the relationship between these two otherwise separate and different events? So I think perhaps the answer is very simple. When Sarah Imenu passed away, Avram Avinu understood that there was a void that she left in the world, shoes that were needed to be filled. He understood that the Torah that she taught, the chesed that she did, was no longer going to be in this world, and as such, she needed to find someone who would perpetuate that legacy, who would imbue her values going forward into the DNA of his children, into the DNA of the Jewish people. Hence, Avram Avinu goes and finds a wife for his son Yitzchak, one with specific character traits, with a specific type of personality, someone who's kulo chesed, who loves doing for others, who looks outside of herself for other people. And that's where Rivka enters the scene. And that's when Rivka ultimately is chosen to be the one lucky enough to marry his son Yitzchak. But what's different about Avram and Sarah on the one hand, and Yitzchak and Rivka on the other hand, is that Avram and Sarah were a tag team. Avram was Megayer the men, Sarah was Megayeris the women. They taught Torah together, they did chesed together, everything was together. Their purpose, their mission in this world was one. But Yitzchak's very different than Avram. Yitzchak certainly cared for other people, I'm sure that he loved other human beings and other Jews. But Yitzchak was an introvert. Yitzchak was an Ola Tamima on the Mizbeach, ready to sacrifice himself for the Rabbanu Shalom. He wasn't even allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. His life, his purpose in this world was very different than his father Avraham. And Avraham knew that, and Avraham saw that, and Avraham loved that. But Avraham also understood that he needed that midah of chesed that Sarah had, that he lived his life by, to be perpetuated to his daughter-in-law, to who would ultimately be Rivka. That's what Avraham saw, and that's what he ultimately did. And that was the void that Avram was ultimately looking to fill. And as I speak to my fellow musmachim, my friends, my colleagues, an amazing group of men, and unfortunately over the last weeks, months, few years, we've lost a lot of people. We've lost many tremendous manhigim, tremendous rabbanim, tremendous leaders, members of our community, who have done so much for the continuity of the Jewish people. People like Rav David Feinstein Zatzal, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Rabbi Dr. Abraham J. Torsky, Rabbi Dr. Mordechai Glick just last week. So many people who learned Torah, who taught Torah, who did so much chesed. And there's a void that's been left, but a void that it's up to us to fill. Shoes that we now have to walk in, a responsibility that we have to fill the void of those who are unfortunately no longer with us, just like Rivka needed to fill the void that Sarah left behind as well. And Baruch Hashem, we spent so many years learning and growing, like Yitzchak, like Karbanos, sacrificing ourselves for Hashem, learning and growing in so many different ways, focusing on our growth, on our spirituality. But our job now is to take that Yitzchak within us and to perpetuate not only the Yitzchak within us, but the Rivka within us as well, the chesed that we have within us as well to do and to be. Not only focusing on our growth, but focusing on the growth and on the lives of others as well. And as I speak to a community like Beth Abraham, that's built on this pillar that Yitzchak has laid out before us, built on this pillar of Torah, built on this pillar of spiritually connecting to the Rabbanu Shalom, of spiritually attaining unbelievable levels, the learning that goes on, the Torah that goes on, the connection to Hashem that happens each and every night in Beth Abraham is incredible. But also a community of tremendous chesed that Rivka doing for others, giving to others, and making a difference in the lives of others. My fellow Musmachim, the community of Beth Abraham, may each and every one of us continue to maintain this balance, tapping into that Yitzchak, tapping into that connection, tapping into that relationship with Hashem that we can build and that we can create for ourselves individually, but also tapping into that Rivka, that ability to give and to do for others. And Amir Hashem continue to bring a tremendous amount of nachas to the Rabbanu Shalom as we continue to fill the void of those who are no longer here. Good Shabbos.